Good evening everybody, and a very warm welcome to Berringer on this Monday evening. And today I have a layout update for you. Nothing terribly exciting, to be truthful with you, but I do have some work which is pertinent to the railway. Now the other day I did say that my friend might be coming over yesterday, and that we might do a little running session. And as it turns out, he turned up and we had a cracking time. It wasn't without its flaws, but it was a cracking time. So thank you, Dave, for coming over. It was most enjoyable. But I didn't actually get to record anything because, quite frankly, we were too busy having fun, to be honest. And it's the first time actually that Berringer has actually had two people operating it, so it's quite an interesting experience and highlighted a number of issues that are cropped up along the way, and that's kind of like the basis of this video, really, of why this video is going up. It's just to highlight some of the issues that have cropped up. So we're going to start over at the B&Q end. So here we are over at B&Q towards the fill yard, which is basically the sum of my day's work today. Not necessarily all of it to do with the railway, but it is a large chunk. It has affected the railway. Now, there was a point here because that was going to go off to Mordenstown, but what I've now decided to do is basically to shelve that idea, because I decided that I wanted to make my life as simple as possible, and also wanted to have a complete fill yard and a really good fill yard set up if I can. Now, there's also a sub-issue to this point not being here. Yesterday, during the course of our running session, there was a points failure over at Morewood, and I'll show you the said point. And essentially, it was exactly the same point that was here before. So basically, one of my little odd jobs this morning has been to basically swap the point out and redo this little bit of track, readjust it, and to make sure that the trains are running smoothly on this bit of track as they were over the point when it was here before. So that was one of the issues that has cropped up. So that's another further issue that I've dealt with and sorted out. So the plan for the fill yard is basically, there is an element of it's sort of what it was going to be, but there is some sort of changes. If I sort of show it to you like this as an overview, you can see it's quite narrow, and I thought that if I basically straighten this out all the way down, it's just going to make it even more narrow, and then basically knocking bodies and elbows and things. So I've decided just to keep it as it is. But as you may have caught a glimpse, what I have done is I've actually extended it out. I've added this bit today. And this will be the DMU bit. So what I've decided to do is, when my friend came over, I was still working on the fill yard, and I put these temporary switches here because Mordenstown was going to come down here, and it was going to go basically where this extension bit is. But what I've now decided to do is keep it all as is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make these switches more permanent along the board here. But I won't be doing that until I can work out the full track plan along the back here, because I'm still hoping that what I'm going to be doing is this is going to be a double-decked fill yard layout, basically, to basically really just make the most of the yard. So essentially the furthest point, which will probably be where this coach is, there'll be a point that will then cross over into the far corner, and basically there's going to be a ramp that's going to come back up and basically to make it into a double deck. Now what that's going to do is that's going to be either for single locos or DMUs, two-car DMUs, and basically there's going to be like a double deck kind of storage area for the locos on top and all the rolling stock, which isn't a vast amount, to go underneath here. I've got an intercity rake, I've got the NSC rake, I've got the blue grey rake over at Berringer, and then I've got the mail train, and then I've got some short wagon loads and freight, which is just all the way back there. So basically all of this is now going to become the DMU part of it. So I'm going to feed in a point which is going to come across here. Don't worry about the gap because I'm going to sort that out tomorrow. But basically there's going to be a point that's going to feed off of here, and then that's just going to fan out and basically get as many lines as I can in for these DMUs. And if I get to the point here down the end here where it's quite short, that'll be ideal for my 153, because I'm sure you've seen that I own an Arriva Trains Class 153, so that 153 can just sort of sit, because that's only a single car unit, so that can sit on the shortest platform, so that on the shortest siding, so that'll be just like there on the far side here. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll get probably about four sidings for my DMUs, and then like I said, the DMUs can possibly be stored on the upper deck as well. So I'm trying to leave this kind of lower deck for the full length stuff, and also there's also space on the layout itself with a few sidings on the layout, and so some stuff can be left actually on the layout itself, so it won't all necessarily be stored here. So that's pretty much the sum of my day's work, really, because of the fact that I've also been doing a lot of the trimmings on the actual unit itself. Because if I just pan out a bit, you can see it's actually like a sandwich. So you can see that the railway is actually sandwiched in between the top level and the lower level. And basically what my sum of work today has been basically to finish off by putting these mouldings in and just tidying it up and making it look nicer. And like I said, I'm going to be filling and painting this when we get round to it, and then that will kind of marry everything up with the white that's on here already, and then hopefully then I can start laying some more track and get some more sidings. It's looking like it's going to be probably about seven or eight rows, which is perfectly good for me, but it probably won't be, because as most of you know, railway modelling tends to expand quite a fair bit, so who knows. But there's been lots of tests running also this morning as well, to make sure that locos are running, and the SEP and the VEP along this bit here, the gradient. So that's something that needs doing as well. Also at Morewood station we have my blue-grey reg, and ahead of that is the Class 25 by Batman. Now these were given some issues yesterday because they've actually got tension lock couplings on the ends, but what I've decided to do is actually fit the sort of U-shaped close coupling system to these coaches, because they just didn't like using the tension lock coupling. So I've been testing that as well, and that seems to be running a bit better now. So a lot of it is to do with testing as well today. And if I take you over to Morewood, which is where we're going to go now, we're going to just sort of skim over the road bridge. You can see basically there was a power shortage from this point, and it wasn't making the right contact, and by swapping the point over it appears to be resolved. So there is some good running, because when we did do some running yesterday, this particular line here, the near side one, on full power was just not giving any sort of juice, so I don't know what the problem was. So I think it was a faulty point, because I've replaced the point now and it seems to be fine. Also another little niggle was just a little bit of chafing here on the side here, so I've just had to just readjust the track to accommodate the trains, just make sure they're not just fouling the edge of the platform. So it's all these little odd jobs to do. Oh yeah, since we're down this end as well, hang on a minute before we go, as we're taking a brief tour, something else I've done is I've sprayed the steps for Offord on the Hill, and I can't remember who made the comment, but somebody made a comment about shouldn't there be railings, and there will be some. I will be attaching some, yes, you're quite right, and there will be some. We don't want people falling to their deaths. And the actual exit porthole for that, just in case you're wondering where it does go, because I think somebody else mentioned this, is actually just down here. You can see it on the left hand side. So the kind of scenario is that people walk in through the porthole and come up the steps, and that's how they get to this station platform. So that is that, I think. I haven't quite got around to doing this. It's another little odd job that I'm planning on doing. So that might be done over the next day or two. But yeah, it's all these little jobs to catch up on and tidy up and just enhance the layout slightly. So anyway, that's about the sum of what's been happening since my last video. So please take care, please feel free to comment and subscribe as always, and I will speak to you all very, very soon when I have something more to show you. Bye for now.